competition is the most important thing to drive rates lower and to drive, innovation. When you look at restaurants, when you look at hotels, the innovation is continuous. It's very, very, very progressive. But then when you get to energy space here, it's very stagnant. So there's not much innovation that you can really see. It's really all about savings. How about giving value to your consumers at a savings value. If you could purchase something that just lets you be independent from that grid and you'd be paid for the next 25 years, why would you still buy from an energy company?
Welcome to Business and Tsismis, where we uncover stories that make the hustle worth it. My name is Marcelo Cacho, and we are here on the Limitless series powered by Eastern Communications. Joining me today is Mr. Marcelo Cacho. Hi, Mars.
Hi, Vanessa.
Good to have you here. Thank you so much for joining us today. I know you've had a colorful career, and I've been watching your progress and your journey for quite some time. So thank you so much for being here today.
Yeah, thanks for having me too.
Now,
pleasure to be here.
Of course. Your family has been in the energy industry for over 100 years. How does it feel to have that legacy behind you?
Well, let's start, siguro, if you want a little bit of a background on how the family started in energy,
Yes.
So basically, our entry into energy was started by a lady. So she was one of the very first entrepreneurs in the Philippines because her husband was stabbed to death. That was the first Cacho in the Philippines. Yeah.
Okay.
And then she had 12 kids. So she had to basically raise all 12 kids by herself. And she was able to do so by getting into trade. And eventually, there was this opportunity to enter, to purchase Panay Electric, which was previously Iloilo Light, I think.
Iloilo Light.
That was converted into Panay Electric around 1926. So that's how we...
So literally 99 years ago, to be exact.
Yes, but the company itself was founded, I think, in 1923. That's why so it was over 100 years already.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow, so it was founded by a woman. She had 12 kids, and your family is here where they are today. Now, tell me about your great-grandmother's tenacity and how that transitioned to the rest of your line.
So basically, she had all her children. She prioritized education for all her children.
Okay.
So the one who eventually started to run that company was my great-grandfather. And he was basically an architect with an engineering degree from Cornell University in the States. And so he actually built a lot of the historical homes here in Iloilo. I think the other day there was a Ledesma house that was just inaugurated and made a national treasure house, something like that. So he was the architect for that.
Okay.
And so that's why when they got into energy, it was sort of like a
it was
synergy.
A pivot. Okay.
Because he was building a lot of the houses.
Right.
So a lot of these houses would actually need energy. And to think about it, if Iloilo already had power in 1926, most of the areas in the country and even in the world at that time were just newly getting into power.
So how has it been through the course of generations having to carry out energy throughout your family and being, one of the most reliable families in Iloilo, if not the Philippines, to really provide this utility service to many Filipinos?
Well, I guess it's also always constantly upgrading, changing your way of thinking, and even as a family, we kind of already have our sort of, let's say, like how we transition from one generation to the next.
For sure.
And it's always like a baptism of fire in our family. So like
baptism of fire.
Yeah.
So in your sense, I do want to go back to your background a little bit. You went to Westbridge for your elementary and high school years, which is also one of the very famous schools here in Iloilo, and you eventually pursued hospitality management at Enderon.
Yeah.
Why hospitality management?
To be honest, I didn't really think it clearly, think it truly. And then, so I started in hospitality. And I guess it was really kind of a good place to get discipline. Because when you work in hotels, it's definitely not easy. You're going to work long hours, 12 to 16 hours a day. And so basically from that background, I was actually in banquets, food and beverage banquets. So that's really dealing with events. So I was in Hilton, San Francisco.
It's good training at Hilton also.
Yeah, so at least you're in a five-star hotel.
Yes.
And we would do events for Google, all of these large companies with like 15,000 people. It was huge. It's one of the largest hotels on the West Coast without the casino. So it really builds with you this habit of actually working long hours and like,
The endurance, the ensuring that all of the customers are taken care of.
Yes, exactly. And even to put the smile on your face, even though like, someone's shouting at you and, very abrasive. So
Right.
it's really good training. So you kind of learn how to like deal with people sometimes that way.
Nice. So do you think that your training from, growing up in hospitality management has transferred over to your profession right now, which is also still in the energy industry?
Yes, also, no. So that coupled with my experience with PECO, especially because PECO would have to deal with, over 55 to 60,000 customers before at a single time. They basically helped me learn sort of how to deal with stress,
Right.
how to automate things. And because on the PECO side, naman, what I learned there is because basically our president right now is a information systems management graduate also from the States, no?
Okay.
So he basically prioritized digitalization and computer systems. So
Which is so important.
yes. And so in fact, actually, PEC was one of the first companies, I think, in the country that actually had a computer system.
Okay.
We traced our computer system back to the 1970s.
Oh, so it's like really early on. You guys already started digitalizing.
Yes. In fact, I think we were the ones that used to do the billing of Coca-Cola here
Interesting.
because they didn't have a computer system yet. So we carried that on, and we've always had an independent computer system running in our company. And so I think that's like one of the most important things I've also learned from the PECO side, because that's, I think, really driven our push into the solar and renewable energy side, because with a lot of automation, with a lot of digital systems, it's really simplified our process flow, and it also makes us not have to rely on too much manpower on the back end side.
Which also helps in terms of profitability and operational efficiency, right?
Yes, and not only that, but if you're able to cut your costs, you can also pass those cost savings to your consumers.
Correct.
Which is really why we got into the solar business, was really to provide cost benefits, because when we were in the distribution side, which was the PECO side, I realized how much red tape there was.
Okay.
Because, for example, on the distribution side, let's say you're charging 10 pesos per kilowatt hour. Let's say you want to do a rate decrease. So you want to reduce the rates, right?
Yeah.
Even your own rates. You have to go through a whole legal process through the Energy Regulatory Commission before you can actually
So
get
you
a
actually
decrease.
have to go through an entire process before you say, okay, I want to give our customers, something cheaper.
Cheap, exactly.
Yeah.
So all that red tape, it just made me look, what can we do that we can, first of all, eliminate this red tape,
Right.
and we can give people basically freedom from energy bills, no? And basically convert them from being consumers to prosumers.
Right.
So the prosumer is what we've been trying to really build with this new business. And in fact, we started looking at this business as early as 2015.
Okay.
No?
So consumers and prosumers.
Yes.
Ayan.
So 2015 pa lang was when we initially studied the solar business, because we were already seeing an influx of solar rooftops.
And whose
in
idea
Iloilo.
was that, Mars? Was that your idea of bringing in solar into, your family
Yeah.
company, your family institution? Who
Yeah.
really pushed that solar energy? Like, I think we can run with this and make it happen.
So it came initially as my suggestion, because I started attending meetings where I'd hear about these new installers coming into Iloilo, coming to talk to us. And so I started looking at, hey, why are we like letting them just do it? Why don't we do it instead? No
brainer.
Yeah, really a no-brainer. So I attended several training sessions with the Department of Energy, with the Energy Regulatory Commission from about 2015 to 16. And then in about 2017, we started negotiating with our other partners, which were the Lopez's,
Yes.
to partner for rooftop solar
Okay.
in Iloilo already.
And during the first 2 years of starting the business, did you see like a large traction or the momentum picking up when, Ilonggos or people across Western Visayas wanted solar in their homes or businesses?
What we saw there is that the smaller customers were more open to adapting it.
Okay.
But the larger consumers, because we would go to pitches, we were still partners with the Lopez's at that time, no. So basically, it seemed like for the larger ones was a very, very hard pitch.
Okay.
Plus also the prices of the panels and everything was a bit higher back then.
Why was it hard for them to adopt, something new? And how did you turn that decision and make them change their mind?
Well, one thing that I also noticed was that the method and let's say the method that the Lopezes wanted to push were power purchase agreements.
Okay.
So now let me explain what a
Yes.
power purchase agreement is basically. So power purchase agreement is like an agreement between, let's say, I am company A and you're the solar company. So you're gonna sell me the power
Yeah.
at a fixed rate
Okay.
for a number
For
of
a
years.
certain number of years.
Yeah. And then back then, it was all 20-year contracts. And they wouldn't own the system, the consumers. So you'd be locked in for 20 years and you'd be paying a power rate. I remember one pitch that we gave to customers like about 9 pesos per
9
kilowatt
pesos.
hour.
And the regular kilowatt.
Was about 10 lang to
10,
11. So it's
okay.
like, you're only saving. But of course, there's still no upfront. So some people, there was the first one to implement that in a large scale was Gaisano City here.
Here,
So that's
in
a one,
Iloilo.
yeah, that's a 2 megawatt solar roof with that the Lopez has put up there.
Okay.
So we were initially supposed to enter that partnership, but then the more that we would be talking to institutions and to various people, it's like we saw that this is just really not gonna work.
Right.
Yeah.
So it's really interesting, no, because we've seen solar energy really take off internationally, and you've been involved in so many projects such as the Guimaras Wind Project, which is
Yeah.
actually taking place very soon in Guimaras if it already hasn't started. As a young entrepreneur, I won't divulge your age, but you do look young. What drives you to keep pushing for progress in this space?
Well, for one is that what I see also is, and again, this goes back to my other training again, and why I kind of find it really important that I came from the hospitality space is when you look at restaurants, when you look at hotels, the innovation is continuous. It's very, very, very progressive. But then when you get to what you call this, the energy space here,
Yes.
it's very stagnant. So there's not much innovation that you can really see from our local markets compared to like international markets.
Why is that? Why do you think what do you think we can do better as
Again,
a
it's-
local market?
It's really again back to red tape.
Okay.
So it's really I'm a firm believer that the more you regulate something, the worse it gets because regulation just adds more red tape on top of red tape, and then that really stops progress for me. So like for example, because I also lived in Australia, I worked for Intercon Melbourne there. I noticed that even as a residential consumer, let's say living in a condominium, you could actually choose your own power supplier, which here in the Philippines is
Where you-
virtually unknown.
Exactly.
Yeah. I mean, you can do it here at a large scale, but then on the lower scale, you're not allowed to choose who your supplier is.
Right.
So
It's whoever you're given, and that's what we'll take.
exactly. So it really does not promote competition. And for me, competition is the most important
Right.
thing to drive rates lower and to drive, innovation.
Innovation, for
Without-
sure.
Yeah, that's it. Without that competition, then you see what happens here in the Philippines, that we're so stagnant and we have some of the highest power rates in the
Yeah,
world.
yeah.
Yeah.
No, I'm so fascinated, because your family has been around in the energy industry for over 100 years. But with the times that have changed and the new leadership ways and the
Yeah.
modern ways of managing a team, I'm sure that you've had challenges in showing your family members or the people involved that they've had to evolve their ways of leadership
Yeah.
in managing a team, whether that's about, making them feel that they are taken care of.
Yeah.
How do you drive the mission, but at the same time ensure that the team feels taken care of? Because
Yeah.
I know you're well versed in that. I know we've had a chance to talk a little bit about it, but
Yeah.
tell me tell our audience how you do this on such a large
Yeah.
scale as well.
So the number one thing for me is always communications. No, so for my staff, I have a regular weekly meeting with them, and this has to happen whether I'm there or not.
Yeah.
So that happens every week. We discuss everything, basically every facet of the business, so that they are aware as well. Because I believe that they should also know even the financials. We discuss how the company is
Yes.
earning, how we're doing well. Because they are an important part of that. What do you call
the
this?
process.
Yeah, the process. No, so. Yeah, with them, that's for me really important. You communicate everything you want from them,
Yeah.
and you're very clear, and then you have also your directions
Right.
on them, and you're also clear with your direction. So it's really number one is really communications, no?
So let's also compare solar energy with regular electricity.
Yeah.
In terms of environmental capacity and ensuring that we're taking care of our environment, how much better is solar energy in the long run for our planet?
Well, let's take it like there are three things there that are really good with solar. No? So the first is like for the planet, very good because first of all, one of the impacts that solar does for you that of course, it lowers your emissions because
Yes.
you're getting power from
the sun.
From the sun. But also, you save quite a bit on grid. The transmission charges, which is about 2 pesos per kilowatt hour.
Okay.
Since especially if you're on solar rooftop, which is just above on top of your house, basically you cut out the middleman, which is the grid,
Right.
who has to transport your energy from a power plant all the way to your home. So you
Yeah.
cut that person out since it's right on top of your roof. Then the next thing that it actually does is it cuts your let's say if you're using air conditioning, it actually cuts your air conditioning consumption.
Right.
Because by having solar panels on top of your roof, the specific area where the panels are, it lowers the temperature by 4 to 5 degrees right underneath.
I did not know that.
So it's like an added environmental what do you call
Parang
this?
environmental
Yeah.
benefit.
It's an environmental benefit that's added, but at the same time you're saving money while there's a that support to the environment.
Right, for sure. Now, if we talk about connectivity as well in the solar energy landscape, how do you stay connected with your team in terms of digital tools? You mentioned that you have weekly meetings. You mentioned that communication is very important. How do you maintain the transparency with your teams through digital tools aside
Yeah.
from communication?
Well, number one, and the most important thing really with connectivity, and let's specifically go to like internet connection and all of
Yes.
those are 100% necessary, and like we can't go down on that because basically everything we're running is run off
Right.
web servers already.
For sure. And I think that's one of the reasons why Eastern Communications is one of our major partners for this podcast. Because at the same time, they offer internet connection. Baka we might be converted after this.
Yeah.
Segue ko na yan, Mars.
That's okay.
But I'm so interested also because, especially having you here, Mars, because you are not only involved in PA Energy, you're also involved in Lycos
Yeah.
and also Freya Renewables.
Yeah.
How do you manage all of that with your schedule, your timing? I'm sure you have a personal life and a lot of other responsibilities and
Yeah.
you're managing a team. Ano ang secret mo?
Well, the most important part is like for the other segments of that business, like for Lycos, we do everything digital meetings. It's all digital process flows,
Yeah.
emails. When we started operating PA Energy really full scale, which was about in 2021.
Okay,
February
so about 4 years
28th.
ago. Okay.
February 28, 2021. That's our first installation. Of course, ahead of that, we also had to, purchase the materials and everything. But that's basically I count that as our day one because
Yeah.
that's the very first installation we had.
Okay.
Basically, I throw away paper. There's no paper in our office. I don't allow. I mean, sometimes they have to print whatever, but I blacklisted paper a long time ago, and I told the people that want to still use paper in the office that they can go with the paper also. No? But having it digitalized that way, using many free, you can actually use many free tools.
Yes,
right?
yes.
There's Google Sheets, there's Google Drive, there's Google Docs.
There's pretty much everything under the sun. Yeah.
Exactly. Those things are also crucial to your business because then well, number one, you get rid of your physical servers
Yeah.
in the business, and then it lets everything be saved automatically to the cloud.
Yeah.
So your backup is basically done there. Like for our staff, they just use like regular PCs lang na low powered.
Right.
Not any. Before we'd be required actually to have like i3 minimum processors.
So the
And,
internet
yeah.
tools, the digital tools always
Yeah.
help you. But in terms of like your personal routine and maintaining your sanity, because you have
Yeah.
so much going on in your head,
Yeah.
like do you have certain methods? Like do you work out every day?
Every day.
Every day.
So like I really set a fixed time, 4:30 to 5:30 every day. I don't care if the president of the Philippines can come and then try to ask to meet with me. I'm not gonna meet him between 4:30 to
Right.
5:30.
I guess were you always like that, or did you find that exercising later on in life helped you?
Ever since before, since I've been basically exercising since 5 years old, so it's never stopped.
So you used to play? Did you used
Football.
to play football
Yeah,
in
so
Westbridge?
Used to do football, and then I always find that I'm in some sport within a time period. So I was in
Right.
football, 1 point basketball. After basketball and football, I got into jiu-jitsu. After jiu-jitsu, I got into CrossFit because at least it's only like an hour every day
Right.
that you need.
So just 1 hour and you're good and
Yeah.
you're sane after that.
That's it. That's
What
the,
time do you usually wake up in the morning?
Me, depends. As I say, I wake up when I'm needed. So if I need to be awake at 5, I'll be awake at 5. If I need to be awake later on, I'll wake up later
Right.
on. So I don't really have a fixed time. It's really dependent on what I have to do for the day. So everything just centers around that.
Do you consider yourself a disciplined person?
Yeah. That's depends how you consider disciplined. In the office, I'm very disciplined. Outside of the office, can sometimes
Right.
not be that disciplined.
So,
'Cause
yeah,
there's really
sige.
one term that I think I'm gonna steal this from my tita, si Tita Maria Rose.
Yes.
Is that creative chaos.
Creative chaos.
That's,
Tell me what creative chaos
yeah,
means
so
to you.
so it's basically like on certain things you can be really like stringent. Like I'll stick to this
Yeah.
very stringently, like in the office and all that. But then outside, you need to have a little bit of chaos also.
You know, some of the best business people also tell me that as well. Like, you can be very structured and you can have your routine in the office, but after that, you need to take time to be recreational also.
Yeah, and for me, it's like as I like to schedule everything in the office. My personal, I don't really schedule
Right.
anything at all. Like I'm so flexible with my
Same,
personal
same.
schedules.
Parang everything needs to be structured in the office because you're also taking care of a team, and the team
Yes.
depends on you as well.
And not only the team, it's the team and their families.
Exactly.
And if you want to get back to that, actually, the team, that's actually one of
Yeah.
the reasons why we really pushed into PA Energy. Is I also wanted to give the people that were under PECO, like
Yeah.
livelihood afterwards.
So you moved people from PECO to PA Energy.
Almost 90% of the people working on PA Energy have been in PECO were in PECO for 25 years, 20 years,
But that's
long term.
also very interesting for me because you don't really see a lot of owners say, okay, I really want to take care of my team and move them over to another company so that their families are not affected.
Yeah.
That's one of the main reasons why you're also loved as a business leader.
Yeah. Well, because I mean, you can't do everything by yourself, no?
Yeah.
You really need to rely on your team, and I really delegate a lot to them because I don't like to spoon feed them with the way
Right.
that they work.
Yeah.
I mean, I hire you, you're running things, you're let's say a supervisor. I expect you to just do everything
Yes.
by yourself already. I
Right.
don't with minimal supervision, maybe a follow up here or there, but I don't want to be like spoon feeding.
Yeah.
That's not you
That's
can't
not
run
how
a
a business runs,
Yeah.
right?
Exactly.
If you were to create one digital tool that would improve PA Energy that maybe we can ask Eastern to create for us, what would you think? What would that digital tool be?
That's an interesting question.
To help
no?
streamline, to ensure that everything runs smoothly, so that your
Yeah.
team doesn't have to go to you for a million things.
I'd say, actually, not even for our team. This would be more centered on our inverters for the solar systems. No?
Okay.
Because each inverter is connected to the home internet, the home or the business internet of that establishment. No. So if there would be some sort of connectivity to, like, let's say, I don't know, like a SIM-based dongle that we could insert into the inverter itself, rather
Okay.
than having to rely on their personal interest. This could really streamline a lot of work for us.
Okay.
Since a lot of our, like, we have a troubleshooting side to the business.
Yes.
One of the largest troubleshooting things that we have to deal with is the internet service provider going
I
down.
see. Okay.
It's really
so it's
a major
unreliable
issue.
99% of the time.
Yes, especially in the far-flung areas. Like, we'd have a customer in San Dionisio.
Yeah.
So like in the middle, like a farm in the middle of nowhere.
Right.
Shout out to the Falongs. It's a flower garden restaurant. That's actually
Yeah.
really nice to visit in San Dionisio. They're one of our customers that use a battery system with solar.
Yeah.
And I noticed it's always on and off their power connection because it's really, I think they're using one of the other local
Yes.
suppliers here, no?
Okay.
And it's really
It's really not good.
It's really not good, and it's really a cause for like concern because the inverter is the thing that actually gives us an alarm, no, if there's ever an issue.
Yes.
And so without the internet service connectivity, we can't see the alarms. We have to rely on the customer checking the inverter
Right.
on a day-to-day
So
basis.
it's safe to say that more of the rural communities need
Yes.
better internet service because number one, your solar energy power also serves not only the city but also rural areas across the
Yes.
village. You have farms as
Yes.
well as clients.
Yes, and I'd say they get to benefit from it more because
Yeah.
especially right now that we've launched batteries.
Right.
The batteries actually allow them to operate like basically uninterrupted
Right.
around the clock because especially in rural areas. I'll give you an example. Since there's so much land, right?
Yeah.
And basically from one point to the other point, there's a line could get cut. And your
Right.
utility will lose power, and then the utility is serving, of course, such a massive
Yes.
land area. Unlike
So
here in the
everyone
city,
is affected.
exactly. And to find that area where that power interruption is, it'll take them hours because
Okay.
it's really a lot of land for them to check and to cover.
Right,
And
right.
so, like with a system like ours, that they have the batteries already and everything, it's really fantastic and it works well for them because then
Yeah.
they operate 24/7.
Yeah.
But then the monitoring disappears because you have no internet. So while you're
Right.
operating 24/7, it's kind of like blind operation.
Yes,
If there's a
yes.
problem or something, we won't find out right away.
Yeah.
So,
So
I
that's,
think
that's a problem that needs to be addressed very soon because it not only affects, everyday life, but it just affects the quality of life as well.
definitely.
Now, for this section, Mars, I want to pick your brain because,
Okay.
your brain is brilliant amongst many other things. Can you tell me one global clean energy leader that you admire in the Philippines or
In
maybe
the-
around the world?
I'd say probably like Elon Musk. It used to be Solar City. Now it's under Tesla.
Okay.
Because he actually used to do rooftops. He actually does do rooftop solar until now.
And that's not widely known amongst people, is it?
In the States, it's very widely known because he offers a similar structure to us. And
Okay.
in fact, he has that whole Tesla Powerwall.
Right, right.
So he's like one of the very first innovators that really went straight to the consumer.
Okay.
No, to provide that solar with a battery so that you have your
Yeah.
uninterrupted power supply. Because even in the States, actually, if you look at California, what happened like a few years ago, their grid was going on and
Oh
off,
my
and
gosh,
that
yes,
powers,
yes, exactly.
wildfires, and even what do you call this? Texas. They
Right.
had that period where it was freezing in Texas, and their grid was going on and off. So having an innovation like Starlink, with
With Elon.
with Elon Musk
yes.
and his Tesla, it basically really helps you, provide backup supply for your consumers.
What's the most exciting tech tool that you're using right now in your work?
Well, definitely it's AI, no?
Yeah.
So whether you're I use specifically Copilot because Microsoft Copilot, it basically uses ChatGPT 4 already.
Right.
But at the same time, you don't have to pay subscription fees. But for me, it's really one of the most important tools to use right now because it removes, even if you just use it for clerical things, write a letter, draft a contract,
It
you
really
can use
makes
it.
things very easy.
Yeah, it removes a lot of administrative work
Right.
on your side, and so for me, I really use it a lot, no.
So
Yeah.
Copilot. So if you weren't in renewable energy, what industry would you be in? Would it be hospitality management?
That's a really good question. Outside of being in energy, I think I'd be in the same space as you.
Digital
Probably
marketing?
digital marketing, or even traditional marketing.
No,
you know.
I think you would do very well in digital marketing, but it's a whole different ballgame as well.
Yeah, but I really can't think of myself outside of renewable,
renewable
energy.
energy.
It's like, and I know, shoot me if I'm ever gonna go back to hospitality. No, I'm not willing to work 12 to 16 hours again. No more na.
That's crazy. So going back to Energy Mars, what is the best city or country that you visited that's leading the way in clean energy?
Okay, so that one's okay. So this question, there are two ways I'm gonna answer it. The first is the one I visited, and then
Yeah.
there's one that I haven't visited but I think is doing well. So
Okay.
I'll start with the one visited. Like I mentioned earlier, I lived in Melbourne for about a year. That's where I really saw that in energy, especially in renewable energy, actually even that whole rooftop solar thing, that's where I saw it initially really being pushed also. So I was there 2013 to 14.
And that's kind of when solar was just about to peak
Yeah.
or was peaking na.
It was peaking even way
Yeah.
before the US.
Yeah.
And here in the Philippines, I don't know if maybe a few people had solar panels,
Mm-hmm.
but in Australia, they were full force. They had door knockers knocking on every door, offering solar.
Interesting.
That's how they used to market things in
Right.
Melbourne. No,
Okay.
it's door knocking.
Pero when you started
Yeah.
PA Energy, were you guys also knocking on doors or were you already just bringing the customers in because they were already interested?
So the initial pitch, we did really B2B. So we went to
Okay.
our largest customers in Iloilo City,
I see.
and then started pitching them directly. That's 2015 to 17.
Mm-hmm.
As I mentioned before, it was partnership with the Lopez pa.
Yes.
And so that model, I didn't like it so much that
Mm-hmm.
it didn't really work for me. And then in 2021, when we really launched, I'd say, PA Energy formally, it was straight to digital marketing already.
Okay, digital
So
marketing.
Facebook specifically was very, very good
I
to
love
us.
that digital marketing.
Yeah.
And then the country that you have not visited that is good in clean renewable energy.
So I'd have to say like somewhere like in the Netherlands,
Okay.
because Netherlands right now, they're really, really ahead when it comes to
Advanced,
renewables.
yes.
They sometimes operate their grid fully 100% on purely renewables, not relying on any fossil fuel. And they do this because they have a smart grid. So they tie in many solar farms, they have many windmills that are
Yes.
operated at the same time, and they know how to shift between those and when to get specific energy, and then when to run the traditional like diesel
Right.
or traditional more power plants to come in when the renewables are not enough. So it's
Okay.
really
So it
it's
would be
something
nice if the
else.
Philippines would also adopt this as well. Every
Yeah.
single thing.
Well, I mean,
of being advanced.
we can also cut having to adapt it and just go
Yeah.
straight to the point and install solar on your roof, no?
Right.
Rather than having to again, they're advanced in the sense that they're shifting between multiple renewable energy resources. They're still archaic in the sense that they're still relying on a traditional grid.
Yeah.
And again, the traditional grid is not gonna be the longest model. That the traditional grid was really designed, in the time of Tesla, Nikola
Yes.
Tesla, and Edison. So, I mean, those guys have been long dead and we're still relying on the same model that they've come up with.
It's time
no?
to evolve.
Yeah.
Okay, Mars. So this segment is called Pitch or Pass, and this is a time when we pitch a business idea within your industry, and then you let us know whether it's a pitch or a pass. Ready?
Okay.
Okay. First idea is a blockchain-based platform to monitor and certify carbon credits for local businesses. Pitch or pass?
Pitch. And then merge with the blockchain for the credits and also to trade energy, so that consumers, it would be great if we could convert this into like a crypto coin where people could trade their net metering.
Okay.
So when you generate power, you sell it to the utility. It would be great to really turn it into a coin that you can store and use it for another establishment or
I
location
see.
that you have.
Have you pitched this to anyone before, or has this popped up in your brain?
Yeah, so I pitched back when Peco was still alive, I was actually
Yeah.
pitching a Peco coin
Okay.
for trading of renewable assets. So let's say if you have two establishments, you have a house here, you have a business like on another part of the utility. Let's say you generate power on this side, you should be able to get the coins from that and transfer it to your house to pay for your power bill there. No?
Okay.
Because let's say not every single place has enough roof
Yes.
capacity. So if you have one area with a lot of roof capacity but not much power, and you have another area with with a lot of consumption but not enough roof space,
Yeah.
then you should be able to trade it.
Right. Makes sense. Okay, next question. An educational mobile game teaching kids about energy conservation and climate change.
Bitch.
Pitch. A subscription service for households that provides monthly energy saving audits and appliance recommendations.
Bitch.
Pitch. Why?
I think this was already done before, actually, by Meralco. So they even attach stickers to certain appliances.
Okay.
But I think it's only Meralco has been able to do that. No one else has done it in the Philippines para
And it really just shows, how much consumption there is per appliance.
and to dumb it down to the level that it's how much pesos will it cost you to run, let's say, an
Right, for that
aircon
appliance,
for 1 hour.
Yeah.
How much? Like that. Yeah.
Okay. Now, a digital marketplace where consumers can choose to buy energy from specific local renewable sources.
That
Pitch or
goes
pass?
back. Pitch goes
Yeah,
back
which
to
what
number
you
one.
mentioned earlier. Now, if you could launch, and this is our wild card question. So, if you could launch any tech-driven energy initiative or even a completely wild business idea tomorrow with no budget limits, what would it be and why?
Hydrogen generators.
Okay,
So,
why? You know what? I'm learning so much while holding this conversation because, it takes a special person to know a lot about
Yeah.
renewable energy. Sige.
So, because I've actually seen certain customers already, not customers, sorry. I've seen certain suppliers already approach
Yes.
me with this concept, but it's still a bit too expensive.
Okay.
But it basically converts water into energy. So, because, PA Energy, while right now we're focusing on solar, that's not the direction of the company's direction is just to provide energy, whatever it is that's renewable,
Yeah.
so that consumers can produce their own power.
Right. Okay.
So there's this company that pitched us this one device that all you have to do is hook up water to it. It converts the water into hydrogen. And then the hydrogen is attached to a genset, and it actually powers your entire house.
Oh my goodness. So is that something that PA Energy will be adopting in the near future?
Yes, that's part of our future plans.
The roadmap.
Yeah, but right now the price for the whole unit was just too expensive.
Okay.
So
In
like
the millions.
yeah,
In the
more
billions.
in
In the billions.
higher side. Yeah.
Okay.
So it's still a bit too expensive, but yeah, basically it was a group out of MIT that was doing this, and
I
we actually
see.
met with them, we talked to them, and it's a really brilliant idea.
Wow.
And the machine is expensive, and also the conversion rate. So meaning, okay, let's say you get 100 liters of
Yes.
water. Only 50% would be converted to energy out of that. So I
Okay.
think it's really in the conversion rate to fully maximize it, so that the cost is still...
Pero that would truly revolutionize the way we do energy.
Yes, and I mean that's what I mentioned earlier, the death of the traditional power
Right.
grid, which
It's
is
always evolving.
Which is I'm really predicting it's within the next 20 to 30 years, the traditional grids would be really
Right,
far
right.
behind already this independent production.
For sure. Now, Mars, we've had such a insightful conversation. Now, I'm sure there are a lot of young professionals that would also want to follow in your footsteps. Like I mentioned earlier, you are a young entrepreneur. You still have your whole life ahead of you. What advice would you have to young professionals or students that really want to get into the renewable energy space?
So for me, the biggest is really to focus on your digitalization, and to focus on digital tools to be able to, reduce your overhead administrative costs. Because your administrative costs are things that you should be, avoiding, so that when you're able to cut those costs, you can focus on your operations.
Yes.
And when you focus on your operations at a reduced cost, you can really pass these savings on to your customers. And so for me, it's really all about savings.
All
and
about
how
savings.
about giving value to your consumers at a savings value.
Yeah.
It's not like overburdening them or overcharging them. It's really
It's
about
simplifying
reducing.
it
It's
also.
simplifying it. And it
'Cause
simplifies.
I think a lot of young professionals also think they need to shell out a lot of money initially when they're building their business, or they need to have a lot of overhead expenses. But it really comes down to taking care of your clients,
Yes.
taking care of your employees, and the team and the mission to move forward.
Yeah.
Mars, I learned so much so far just on renewable energy alone and, the best business practices and running a team. I'd love to know because, your family has been in the energy industry for quite some time. And over the last 10 years, when Peco closed its doors, there was a lot of controversy. We're not going to lie. We're being candid here. The Cachos were this or that, or something was not right. And that's something I want to clear up today. What would Marcelo tell the public or people that have a stigma on the Cachos on a certain something, or maybe they feel na you guys are parang not in the right space, or I just really want to get to the bottom line. What does Mars have to say about his family in today's modern era?
So the number one thing about my family that really comes out and that we apply to every business is savings.
Yes.
Because our family has really espoused from us from a very young age that you have to save. To save money, utilize money properly, and all of that. Don't squander it. And so that even brings me back to when I was about 8 years old. I started my first business. I'd pick guava from our guava tree in our house, and I'd try to sell them outside the house. This was the very first time I learned, because then my grandfather would pass by to try to buy. And then I tried to sell it to him at 20 pesos per guava. So in the 90s, like in 1998, that's really, even now, you're not gonna buy, I don't know if you'd buy a guava, one piece lang na of guava.
I think you can find it somewhere at SNR for 20 pesos for one
so
guava.
I was basically a little stall in the 90s selling at SNR prices.
Yes.
And so this really was like one of the first lessons I learned that, you need to cut your costs. You need to give the lowest cost you can get, and you need to learn how to save on it.
Right.
And even like my grandmother right now, whenever something breaks in her house, let's say like a microwave, she says we'll just have to sell the entire house. Na lang. They really don't like to touch their savings, and they really, and that's why we also like in PA Energy, the way we put it up and the way that we're running it is really to keep reducing our costs,
Right.
so that we can pass on the cost reduction to our customers.
To your
as savings.
customers, right. And one of the main things that I love about, knowing your family as well is that you are also down to earth. And no matter like how successful you might be, or whether you are, taking on big business ventures, every conversation is always like you're just talking to a normal person who's just trying to give back to the community and provide cost reduction for its customers.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, I mean that's the key out there. It's like we're not quite flashy, like we don't believe really in buying luxury clothes and stuff like that, because I mean at the end of the day it's like we'd rather invest in the business and we'd rather keep the business growing. And so that's really my hope, is that for PA Energy that we go also 100 years into the future, just like Pecco was able to do.
And the business will take care of your children and your children's children.
Well, yeah, not necessarily also that. For me, while it's good to take care of the family in a certain way, I think it can be it's eventually going to become an animal of its own, and then be able to take care of the community in general.
Right.
And outside of that community in general, take care of its employees, and build a very sustainable company that's...
So at the end of the day, it's really about giving back.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And about sustainability.
Sustainability and providing value, no?
Yes.
Yeah. So one of my last questions before we end this segment is, because you are so involved with the community, what keeps you grounded and motivated when dealing with high-stakes individuals, projects, or navigating the complexities of working with both the government and the private sectors? How do you do it?
So to keep yourself grounded, in the past, what I would do is jiu-jitsu, right? Because, and now it's CrossFit, but jiu-jitsu is really important for me back then, because it would basically, you could come in like from a board meeting or whatever, you're feeling high, and then you're gonna get on the mats and you're gonna get choked, and you're going to lose. So I think it's always important that you're getting knocked back down, your senses are getting knocked back down. So like right now, if it's CrossFit, like you do a lift, you fail at that lift.
Yes.
And so you have to keep pushing and pushing and trying to improve yourself. Because if you don't keep trying to improve yourself and trying to keep pushing yourself,
then
you're just going to stagnate.
Stagnant. Yeah.
And so for me, that's it's always important to have something that levels you back down and like knocks back sense into you, no? And reality kicks back in.
That's a quotable quote. It's always important to have something knock back sense into you, no matter how big or successful you get.
Yes, exactly. And in fact, many business leaders even do this also. And I know a lot of people that do like jiu-jitsu like that who are really successful in this world, and it's really important that to keep them level. Like Mark Zuckerberg is in jiu-jitsu now, and even joins tournaments. Like he enters under a false name and then joins, and then they'll be like, oh my God, it's Mark Zuckerberg. That time I just got choked by Mark Zuckerberg.
Do you believe it's important to really surround yourself with like-minded people who will also help you get to where you want to be in life?
Yeah, that's really also important, because the people that you hang out with would really impact your thinking. So if you also if you surround yourself with people that are not like moving forward or pushing forward in this world, or also like I mentioned that they have that same mentality that you can get knocked down, knocked back, but you always keep getting back up.
Yes.
No, you have to hang out with those people so that you can also push forward.
It's about tenacity and pushing forward.
Yeah.
Mars, thank you so much. We've learned so much from you during this podcast episode. I actually took a few notes on renewable energy, because God knows where we will be in the next 20 years or the next 100 years, but for sure, we hope that PA Energy will be here as well for another 100 years and more. Thank you so much for being with us in this podcast, and to our BNT viewers, thank you for tuning into Business and Tsismis, where we bring you the stories that make the hustle worth it.
All right. Thanks for having me.